we have a request for an executive session?
Morning, how are you?
At the end, if you want, I can give you some project updates if you wish.
Okay.
Nothing of dire consequences.
Morning.
Good morning, Mayor. Good morning.
Okay, so we have the minutes that are passed out to everybody. Got the minutes? Did you get the minutes?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
And there's a question I have on it.
Okay,
It's green.
On the people who attended, there's 2 excused, and you can't have 6-0 if 2 people were
Gene
excused.
was here.
Yeah,
Gene was
Gene-
there, that's what I thought.
That's the problem.
Is that the one that he's listed as excused?
yeah.
Okay.
Yours says excuse, not excuse.
Great form today, Mike. I'll call you later when I.
Got an early start.
Any other comments?
In second page, second paragraph, last sentence, that he is subsequently verified with agency counsel. I didn't ask my own attorney.
What page, Mike?
On page 2,
Yes.
second paragraph,
Yeah.
last
agency
line,
counsel.
Mark was the one that said, I
Okay.
didn't have a conflict, so it should be agency counsel.
Okay.
Anything else? Gene, anything?
No.
Okay.
I just have one thing. Did we talk about how we, okay, no, I'm mixing my projects.
And there's a typo under the budget.
If there are no other changes, with those changes, is there a motion to approve?
I'll move it.
Moved by Ferris,
Second.
second by Mike. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, financials.
Okay, I did send the drafts to Mike and Dave and Mary Faith and Shauna to review. We did make some changes to the staff, the supplemental staff agreement. So the LDC is covering 55 of the 65,000. So you'll see that in your budget comparison report, that line decreased. Also, there was a split between additional supplemental agreement of 25,000, half of it went to the IDA and half of it went to the LDC. So you'll see those numbers reflected as well. I think we did close on one project in January, which was Building 240, B240 LLC. So those fees were about $75,000. Our net loss for the year is approximately $52,525. And that was really basically due to the timing and closing on the projects. We do still have some of those projects open that.
What was the $75,000 fee, the big part of?
The
B240.
B240.
Yep.
And that actually did close in December.
What did?
B240. It
Yeah.
closed in December, but the fee
Yeah.
didn't hit you until January. Is
Yeah,
that what you're-
no, it's reflected in there.
Okay.
Yeah, the 75,000. I think it was received like December 30th or 31st.
Okay.
So it's in there.
Questions from anybody?
I think probably I'll be noted as the board previously, expressed, I suppose, disappointment that we had a loss, we're anticipating a loss this year, but looking forward to better times.
I'll get over that. We don't like to have losses, but we did have a very active year involving a lot of personnel time, extra time, so that year we probably can justify the fact that we used up some of our capital to support it.
Also,
Go ahead, Chris.
Go ahead, Shauna.
I think one thing to note is that there were a lot more staff services applied by staff for the LDC than the IDA too, than were anticipated with the large closings that we had.
Will we draw the funds from another account to cover that, or will we just make it up in the next year?
We had the cash to cover it.
Ferris, so what's gonna happen, a lot of we had some anticipated closings that were supposed to come December-ish. They're getting shifted to the first quarter of 2020.
But as Mike said, we had cash in the account, Ferris, to
Yeah.
cover that
Right.
loss. But all it
What I
did
thought.
was reduce the balance sheet cash amount by that amount.
Okay, that's what I thought. Thank you.
If there are no other questions on the financials, we'll receive them as presented, subject to audit. Okay. Number 4 on the agenda. To consider a final authorizing resolution relating to the Orville Inc. facility, authorizing financial assistance in the form of exemptions from sales tax estimated at $4,200,000, but not to exceed $4,620,000. Exemptions from mortgage recording tax estimated at $253,125, but not to exceed $278,437. And reduction in real property tax for a period of 25 years, benefit estimated at $14,827,034.05. During which time the company will pay fixed pilot payments to the agency to be allocated in accordance with an agreement allocating pilot payments and approving essential pilot terms, which financial assistance is a deviation from the agency's uniform tax exemption policy, and approving the form and execution of related documents. The agency conducted a public hearing on July 23, 2019, and sent notices of the deviation to all taxing jurisdictions on January 10th, 2020. And I think you have in your packet a report from the July public hearing, which everybody on the board has reviewed, I assume.
Yes, we also included the document of the fixed pilots. Note for the minutes, it'll create 225 full-time equivalent jobs. And the PIF documents are ready for execution by the elders, or by the IDA.
And we do note that this property previously had no tax.
I was gonna say, before you shouldn't, this is what you're gonna say, isn't it? It's kind of a response to the public hearing? Because I think we ought to make note of the fact that obviously there were some people who criticized it.
Yeah, I think the public hearing is part of our.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, usually the public hearing, we don't, if there are any comments.
It was a very well-attended
Yeah, no,
public
thanks.
hearing.
This one, I think we ought to recognize the fact and kind of address the
There were
comments, which he's starting to do.
Yep.
He's going to listen to him.
No, I was gonna say.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think what we need to identify the fact, even though there's a large alleged or anticipated reduction in property tax revenue, there was no property tax revenue there prior to this time. And that the amount of pilot that's being made or being paid is an additional amount that are going to go into the municipal taxing authorities, which is more than what was had before, plus the fact that we are giving up sales tax revenue, but we are creating a building and contents of the building. So we're going to also have additional jobs that are going to pay, are going to live in the area and pay real estate taxes and other benefits. So that would be our comments, at least my personal comments in response to the questions raised at the public hearing.
Hey, Dave, was there any reported in the papers about the minutes as far as the comments from the public?
Yes, it was carried by the media. It was probably one of our better attended public hearings, which we appreciate that we're just not sitting here looking at each other. In that there were concerns about the site location, how the facility would line up with the property owners. And that was just due to an initial picture that was used for just showing the site in the beginning was not accurately shown. So depicted, thank you. And we were able to address that at the public hearing with the company present to the landowners that attended.
Did they print in a response in the paper? The Mark's
I don't-
point?
I don't remember
No,
seeing.
because at the public hearing, we don't make a response.
You know,
Yeah, you remember, Ferris, that the public hearing is the opportunity for the company to present its project to the public. And then we have historically, agency members and agencies have not responded directly to questions raised at the public hearing and are brought back to our regular meeting.
I guess I'm just addressing Mike's point that maybe another version of the paper, we can make comments addressing that. Is that appropriate?
The company took that on and sent out some updated information.
All right.
I can't verify right now if that exact information was published.
And we do have our friends from the Rome Sentinel here today, who obviously just heard Dave's comments, so.
Okay, that's all the questions with Gene, not Ferris. All the questions you've heard on this are Gene, not Ferris.
Okay.
It sounded like Ferris. Oh my God. If I'm starting to look like Ferris, that's even worse.
You could never be that beautiful.
Oh, okay.
So I think that this project is a real addition to the critical mass of distribution in the area. It's important that we have trained, skilled employees that can provide assistance to all the distribution centers we have in the area. And I think any additional one is going to increase that critical mass workforce and attract more people to really good paying and jobs that are local or that are easily commutable and will help the whole area, and particularly in Rome in this case.
Agreed.
I agree.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the final authorizing resolution.
I'll make the motion.
Gene makes it, make the
Second.
motion. Second from Ferris. Further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, number 5 on the agenda, to consider a resolution relating to the Oracle Inc. facility, consenting to a license from GLDC to the agency to Oracle Inc. to allow access to the site prior to closing on the real estate transaction and approving the form and execution of related documents. We have a motion.
I'll move it, but I want to ask some
Yeah.
questions. Okay.
It's been moved by Mike. Is there a second?
I'll second. Okay, whatever.
Either one.
Either one? Okay. Gene, you've seconded it, okay?
All right.
All right, discussion.
When's the closing anticipated?
Documents are out. We've gotten comments from the lender. We don't have comments from the company yet. So once we get that and see the extent of it, we'll be able to better answer that.
Take a wild guess.
I
March.
believe it is March.
So should we put some limit on this?
It's also being closely monitored because the push is to get in and remove some trees.
So maybe June?
I think it should be sooner than that.
Yeah, well, no, but I'm saying the
Yeah.
You
limit.
mean the end of the license agreement?
Is June
Make it-
acceptable, Michelle?
Make it July, just in case. Mike, what do you think?
But their counsel's here. She says June's fine.
Okay,
Legal counsel.
Let me ask you a question. This license though is for a limited purpose. It's not to start construction, correct?
Right.
So I think that also has to be noted.
Well, so what is it? We gotta put that in the motion.
Yeah.
Just to cut trees.
Okay. So,
Okay.
so it'd like to include site preparation, but no foundation or construction.
Correct.
And it'll last to the earlier of the closing or June 30th. Okay?
Is that acceptable to the seconder?
that's Gene.
Jane?
Yeah.
Was that acceptable to you,
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
Okay.
And the council, their council is comfortable with that?
So
Kind of.
site preparation, and it will again expire as of June 30th of
Yes.
2020.
Yes, Ferris.
Thank you.
If you couldn't hear that, the answer was yes.
And everybody has a copy of that agreement in their packet so you can see exactly what work is to be allowed. on this
You look
agreement.
under Section 1A describes the kind cutting down the trees.
It's a typical Andy letter, couldn't be any more complicated. Could've done it.
That's fact.
That's it.
Okay.
Okay, any further questions? If not, ready to vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Carried. Okay, number 6, consider a resolution relating to the B240 LLC facility approving the form and commercial sublease agreement to be entered into with the initial commercial retail tenants at the facility, consenting to the sublease of a 5,074 square foot portion of the facility to Parsons Services Company. Donna?
This is as required when we met last month, that we would be showing you some basic information about the leases, the subleases that Benaccio would be having at the B240 site. I think our first question is this enough information?
But the rent is enough.
So we want that included?
I mean, it's probably most important part of the lease.
Can I back up a little bit? This is
Yeah.
this is the apartment house with the commercial space on the first floor, correct? Apartments, right.
Yes.
Each time they go to rent something there, we have to have our approval, is that it?
What we did is, we have a form of the sublease agreement that we went through and made sure all the IDA provisions protecting the IDA were in there, the indemnities, the hold harmless, and all of that, so that to streamline the approval process, because yes, we do have to approve when a sublease goes in. So we approved the sublease, and they provide us information, just the one sheet showing what they're gonna fill in on the sublease.
And so we'll also.
So we need, so what else do you want? You
So
want rent?
the rent, and then what do they do?
Do we want job numbers too?
Oh,
I would like to think job numbers would be appropriate as well.
Okay.
Doesn't tell what Parsons Services Company does. Remember, we have certain things you can't have in there.
Right.
some professional engineering offices.
Right, but we'll add that,
So you want
Engineering
more-
office.
yeah.
It's an engineering firm?
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
They're affiliated with the lab.
Oh, okay.
Is the document a public record? Sublease?
staff-
Well, he's asking for the rent. I'm wondering if that's considered.
They probably, the tenant and the landlord will probably want to mark that as being proprietary.
That's what I was going to say. Okay.
Doesn't mean that we can't, that it can't be presented to us, but
Right.
proprietary to the public.
Oh, other than that, it's-
So you want the rent and the job numbers in this?
yeah, but, so just, this is probably more of a curiosity question. Does this require them for a minimum amount of jobs, since they signed up for a minimum amount of jobs?
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah,
So when we went back and asked Benaccio to reset their job numbers, or just to clarify their job numbers, they came back and they wanted to stand by what they put in their document. So what we need to do is, these numbers will go against the total number.
Yeah, I know. That's not my question. My question is, does their sublease require Parsons to have a certain number of jobs?
Right.
I don't think it requires a certain number of jobs, but it does require them to report them. And Benaccio is gonna be the one responsible.
Yeah,
for
I
the
know, but the
jobs.
thing is, if they don't put it in there, they can't, tenants report down the road.
Yes, because that was why we wanted to see the sublease
because otherwise we
documents.
couldn't, yeah.
Correct.
We're gonna be out chasing our tail. Okay, all right. So I'll move it.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Gene.
Yeah.
Further discussion? Not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstentions, carried. Okay, number 7, consider a resolution relating to Rome Community Brownfield Restoration Corporation, Coal Point Facility, consenting to the extension of the license agreement from RCBRC and the agency to Coal Point.
So we had you provide similar before. This is just to get us to closing. Right now, the
And we're
documents are,
closed finally.
they're on
Says you're
this,
to close Monday.
That is the current expiration date of the license agreement. It is to get us past.
That has been a bear, it's been,
We're on our second round of drafts
Yeah.
out, so it is
so
close.
we're close now, but it's a very complicated financing structure, and,
Simple letter.
Yeah.
Just say, so
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking to Mark about, that's Andy.
Andy can't
Mike,
say
you
it.
have no idea, this deal has been a bear, just a bear. But
We'll
we're,
stir up. Let's say that about Andy.
yeah, we read that a few times ourselves.
So, I'm just wondering, he's saying a 30-day extension, which probably they're gonna get it done in 30 days. Why don't we just make it a 60-day extension? I want this to come back
End of
in
March.
30 days.
Okay.
Yeah,
End of March?
so end of March, yeah. So I'll move it, an adjustment from the presentation of the request to extend the license to do prep work on the land till March 31st of 2020.
I'll second that.
Wait another 3 page.
Yeah, I know.
Don't tell him,
I had
don't
no
tell
idea,
him.
the first page
Honestly,
and a
don't
half, I
tell
had no
him
idea what
it's
he was
a
talking
60-day
about.
extension. Mike,
It's
if you
been-
give him a 60-day extension, they're gonna take it.
been moved aside.
So why don't we do it 30 with the discretion of
He didn't want
me to go another 30?
No, it'll get done by,
It'll be-
it'll get done by.
Coal points. don't
Yeah,
wanna get-
we were supposed to close
Whole
last summer.
point is very anxious.
Mayor's laughing.
What's the final?
Let's put
You're
the-
looking at your
let's
watch.
put
What are
the
you gonna say,
time
what
limit.
year?
Time limit there.
Tell him.
Okay, all right.
All right, it's been moved and seconded.
Who's second, excuse me?
I seconded it.
No, Ferris seconded it.
And I seconded it at 60 days. Have you changed it back to 30? So
No,
what we're talking
March 31st.
March
Ferris.
31st.
31st. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, discussion? Not, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, abstention, carried.
One update I will give the board is that the building across the street that is in Rome Community Brownfield's name and in your name because of the ERP program is been knocked down.
Picture in the paper last night.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, no, that was
So-
the other one, but there was an article about it.
Yes.
It's a great collaborative between Rome Community Brownfields, EDGE, RIDC, the city, IDA.
Awesome.
But it's also an example of where the complexity of all our projects are going.
But we got a great mayor in Rome.
Notice
how far
away he is.
Yeah.
Jakey, watch out. He's after something, Jakey.
Yeah, I know.
Your chair's empty, Ferris.
I see that. I appreciate that.
Okay, I don't have anything else on the agenda for today, but,
New England.
Old business,
yeah, well, I mean, old business.
We should.
What do we have on old business?
Old
The
business, Angle Electric.
We're doing Engler.
We had gone back and relooked at the sales tax
Right.
numbers to refine them, and you have a document in front of you for that.
That's sufficient for everybody?
This is a handy thing.
Yeah.
If people would do this
Well-
in the future rather than just some huge range.
So what we'll do too is I think we're gonna try looking at that as a model
Yeah.
for the project memo that we do. We also want to create the project memo that we have it at closing to make notes on.
I've been working on the application as well, so when they put numbers in, it automatically calculates what the amount would be.
You can give them a for example in it too, so that they know how to do it. You can just outline it, but they have to plug numbers in too. so.
Theirs is unusual, and the materials is high because they're
Right.
buying in the existing building, and
Right.
dragging it down here to the water.
And they, they had to go back and clarify that.
But it's still way under 80,000.
Okay,
Another,
any
just-
other old business?
well, one other old business, the IDA paid a legal bill that we are now doing a whole calculation on. It goes back to the sales tax audit we went through. All of our closing documents with our companies ties to if there's additional legal costs that we're going to anticipate, even after you close, you have to cover the cost. That sales tax audit was a bear for us, and we just had to go back and forth with the companies, with the ABO, with the controller's office and tax and finance. Laura and Linda weighed in quite a bit on each of the company's documents, just to clarify in document to the ABO what was sales tax applicable. So we're now going through the bill, going through all our reports, and we're gonna issue bills to the 5 companies that were under that audit, just so you're aware if somebody ever comes up to you and asks a question, that's all. It was about 10,000, a little under 10.
Divided by.
They're Sean,
Yes.
Under.
Pardon me?
are they obligated to pay that, Sean?
Yes, they are, per their documents with us. It's taken us a lot of time because we had to pull out all the reports and everything we did in our notes, because it wasn't a clear cut 20% across the board. There were a couple companies in there that just took a lot more time, so we wanted to be cognizant of that.
So that's how you divided it up?
Well, no, we had very specific line items to each company. We pulled those out first, then we did it across the board, because a lot of it was just, what are you supposed to do with sales tax and how you do it? Since that time, we've changed policy where we do all attempts not to issue a sales tax certificate till after we close with a company. But that it's not always a perfect circumstance. Like Cold Point, they've had to start doing some purchases, so we issue an up to amount on sales tax certificate, but we also bring it to the board just to protect ourselves. It also is about the limits of sales tax. When you issue through closing, it's up to this amount, and a project starts going over. A lot of that's unanticipated. The state was, and I still think they are, challenged by, there's anticipated costs that you're going to get. So we had to justify to the state that happens.
Just for their information, Northland Telephone, Chris Tech, New Hartford Lodging, Marcy Family, and Cardinal Griffiths were
Mhm.
that were covered under this.
I didn't hear the last 2. Sorry,
Yeah,
Mark.
Northland Telephone, Chris Tech Wire, New Hartford Lodging Group, Marcy Family, that was the
Okay.
housing project, and Cardinal Griffiths.
Okay.
And out of it, we straightened out if there were issues where somebody was short some sales tax because of the overcost, or because it took longer, or when the certificate was issued.
You're still gonna get some blowback from some of them.
I'm sure you will, but,
We'll address it. when it gets-
yes, but I just
So-
want people to be aware of it.
Mike, would you suggest, I have not booked
We covered?
the billing to those companies. Would you suggest I book
wouldn't
it?
until we get
Because
it.
you don't even know if we don't even know if we'll get
Well,
it.
I mean, we gotta keep in mind too, you save them from having the sales tax.
Yeah, I
Maybe
know.
you should add that to your cover letter. Just remind them
Yeah.
that the work that the IDA did on their behalf potentially saved them much more than
Right.
what they're.
That's what you gotta do, is
Right.
tell them that
Right.
way, because if you just send it to them, you know, they're gonna say, well, wasn't it part of the problem, you didn't follow up with me and didn't give me the right
Right.
forms and stuff, so,
So I'm just gonna leave it alone for 2019, right?
because I don't wanna be right.
They still have the opportunity to object to it, so.
Right,
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
So, do you already have engagement letters from Barone and Howard?
Mm-mm.
Oh, so we may have to revisit that. Because they're no longer.
They're no longer-
I talked to John.
Oh,
I talked to John. He's still doing the
the
audit.
same price?
He didn't mention that he was changing the price, but I'll follow up
Oh,
with
you
him.
better find out. So,
Yeah, he said he would come late January, so
Let's
I
confirm the
talked to him
price.
in mid-December, so I said, well, we'll circle back around in January.
Yeah, Mike's right on that.
And if we need to visit, we'll bring it to the committee.
Goes to the finance committee, doesn't it?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Am I still on there?
Are you?
I think so.
Yes, Ferris.
You're still on it, Ferris.
Was that,
Personal
I
liability.
did, I was in California when you had the meeting, so I don't know what you voted.
yes.
I know you guys are busy with so many other things going on, but we still somewhat chasing the abstract company to get us a final list of what properties are still in our names.
We handed that out.
Then you said that there was a lot on there that you thought that,
We need to sit
So the
with,
next part is us taking a look at that list and
okay,
identifying.
so then can we
Yes.
get to that?
yes, so how I think we'll also solve that is we hold an annual meeting with the county to go through every single pilot. It used to be a couple hour meeting, it's now become a day-long event. So we'll schedule that with Kathy Pilbeam, because I think it might clean up a little of the list, but I still think we're gonna have some work on it.
Just the county that you have to meet? I mean,
No, we also meet with some of the taxing jurisdictions. We used to bring them all in, but it's just become so onerous. So like Mark's reaching out to Joe Muller,
Yeah.
at the school to go through theirs. The city reaches out to Maureen and I directly.
New Hartford school districts all over.
We're doing theirs right now, New Hartford.
Hartford does their own collection?
Laura, we got a bunch of them that are ready to come off here because of some of their benefits. So we worked on this yesterday, actually, back and forth. Got about at least 10.
At the beginning of each year, what we try to do is sort the IDA's project list by lease expiration date. Now that the IDA only has a leasehold interest, the assessors don't get that deed that crosses their desk that is usually the trigger for them to return things to the taxable roll. So we're identifying the lease terms and sending courtesy notices to them to remind them that the lease is expiring on this date and
I know some of the tax jurisdictions put the year of expiration right on the bill, so for their own reminder. right?
well, ideally,
But
everybody,
not out in the very.
No,
ideally, everybody, that's why we do the courtesy.
but it's only as good as the taxing jurisdiction do what it's supposed to do.
Just as long as we're staying. on it.
Yes.
'Cause we want to get rid of these properties that.
Do we copy the companies on those
Well,
notices?
what happens is, I mean, the IDA does get out of it. I mean, it's just how it's reflected on the tax roll. If
Right.
the IDA's interest does automatically
It's an
expire,
automatic expiration.
it's just,
Yeah, no, I get that, but I'm saying
Do
that
we
when we
copy?
send the taxing jurisdiction for the pilot in some fashion, do we copy the company on that too?
we
or
have not in the past, but we can.
I think that sort of ties the two together, and that if they have questions between themselves, they
Right.
can
Okay.
look at the same letter.
More dangerous thing is abandoned and empty property that runs down and causes a problem. Environmental problem.
Any other old business?
Yeah, I guess just then a follow-up on the senator with the IDA. Have we put that thing to bed in terms of outstanding questions or answers?
So two things are happening. One, we are going through the report line by line to see if there's something they might, because they just gave us a very generic checklist without even titles of what the checklist is. So we're trying to interpret their charts. We just want to be sure if there's something they're saying we didn't provide or we don't do, we correct that with them. Also is on a conference call with EDC, and they are trying to figure out the best approach to deal with the senator and all the new bills being introduced. And they're being instigated maybe a little by this report. Some of it just might be, it was an attempt by a senator who's just not thrilled with IDAs. And that sometimes you're better off just not battling him and looking at where the best opportunities to move forward. So a couple of things that might come out of it is, we're going to introduce some mini trainings for the board at board meetings, just best practices. Also, we're just going to spend some internal time looking at our uniform tax exemption policy and to see if it's something that we just need to tweak. You've heard me use this. None of the projects are just cookie cutter anymore, but I think that's just a trend of business.
Right.
And each company has some uniqueness that we need to do.
I agree.
And one other thing too, for sales tax, we have put in a very onerous project process for the companies to report to us quarterly, semi-annual, where they are with sales tax before the end of their project, to be sure that we don't see overages and needed requests by the company for additional sales tax.
Yeah, I think the governor's budget doesn't include any drastic changes in the IDAs. At least there was nothing in the paper about that. So in the past, he's implied that he's gonna recommend some changes, but maybe he's backed off a little bit.
So there's a number of bills that are being put forward for changes. And there are a lot of one-offs, and they could be related back to a very specific project, like the Montgomery County, or the town of Montgomery, issues that were in the senator's report. And so, you know, we're hoping that EDC can manage dealing with some of those and take the intent being implied by this new legislation and see if we can get around it.
I'll be attending along with Bill. Has everyone met Bill Van Shufflin, our new senior
Who
VP?
was there last one?
Bill and I will be attending the EDC conference. Yeah, then there is a couple IDA breakout sessions specifically on the new legislation. So we'll be bringing back hopefully some good information.
All right.
Donna,
Yes,
the company that installed this communication that we're using, have they attended any of the meetings, or can they attend the next meeting and listen to what I'm hearing and the quality of the picture, so we can get maybe some corrections? It'd be more difficult for me to try to explain it, but right now I'm listening to someone fighting with somebody at the end of my earphones.
what are you hearing, Ferris?
Yeah, I'm not hearing that, Ferris. You,
I do hear a background noise on one of a television or something.
We don't have any, I got mine all shut off and I'm on.
mine's shut off over here as well.
Right. But I can hear like people talking in the background.
Yeah, something. Maybe it's a.
The Russians.
Yeah, the rest.
Ferris, we can ask them to do that. They've been at each of the meetings where we put the system on at the beginning of the IDA meeting. I think I saw him leave. Is he out there right now?
He was out there.
There are no.
I'm thinking they need to get their computer, sit down and attend the meeting like I'm attending the meeting. There are several other things happening on the visual side. You stop in motion and it stays like that a second and then it goes.
Yes, no, well, that's, the microphone picks up whoever is talking.
Right.
So that will change the video. So that's why the video is kind of choppy, because I'm talking now, so the camera is going to go on to me.
Right.
When Dave talks, the camera is going to go on him.
Right.
You're probably
Like
seeing
that.
a lag.
It's the delay.
If your bandwidth isn't great, you're probably seeing a lag on that.
And is there anything we can do about, that's one of the questions you can ask him for me, is when Shauna or our illustrious attorney there moves some paper in his folder, I lose sound of what people are saying, because that's overriding the conversation going on in the room. And I'm not sure if that used to happen before too.
Yeah. We'll ask them. And there may be some levels or something they can change.
Is the bandwidth our problem
No.
or is it their problem? Do we have sufficient bandwidth here?
You do.
Do they need, whose bandwidth is not
Yours.
sufficient?
Your bandwidth.
Oh, my bandwidth. Okay, I can check it. I'm supposed to have 100, but they lie.
So Ferris, I'm not hearing the same thing you're seeing or hearing.
Okay.
I don't have any background noise. I don't have any interference with the picture.
Could be
Well,
my
Gene, your picture is much clearer than Ferris's picture.
Yeah.
Gene to me is all fuzzy, so I don't know. It could be. I look at my picture in the little corner and I look nice and clear, and Gene over here is blurry.
It's probably a bandwidth issue on your end, Ferris.
On my end, okay, I'll
Yeah.
get that checked out. All right.
So Ferris, if you have like anything else open on your computer, or if your TV or phone is being used, that might be an issue.
Or your family are using Wi-Fi at the same time you're on it.
Oh, I got her computer because I'm using her computer to do any of the
Documents.
Yeah.
documents. I also have my phone with some of the documents. Maybe that might be doing it.
That
Could be doing it.
might
That could be doing it, Ferris.
Okay.
things going.
So, but
Okay.
I agree this is an important issue, but
Yeah.
we could.
Yeah,
this is
we'll do
really
it
has
offline.
nothing
Right,
to
we
do
could
with-
do this offline.
You should get this straightened away before next meeting.
Yeah, we'll do a special session with you.
All right. That'll be fine. Sorry, Mike, to take up your time.
No, but your picture is definitely, it's your situation, Ferris, like, 'cause your picture is definitely foggier than Gene's, and his, voice over seems much better too, so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Do we have a need for an executive session on any potential contracts?
We could talk about a couple updates if you want an executive session, but nothing imminent.
What's the pleasure of the agency? No pleasure?
Let's hear the updates, I guess.
All right. So we have a motion to go into executive session to discuss.
I'll second it.
I'll make the motion.
Yeah, Mike moved it and Gene seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm resuming.
I seconded it.
All right, you're
Now
good.
I get out of this.
So, all in favor of getting out of executive session, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, we're back in regular session. Do we have anything else to handle in regular session? If not,
Are we recording?
We are.
Good.
Oh, that thing didn't go on. Oh, we're
It's
okay
red.
now?
Yep,
Red.
you're good.
We're good.
It happened quickly.
All in favor? of
Who made the
leaving-
motion? Who seconded it first? I didn't hear.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Have a motion?
We don't have a motion.
All right, so a motion to adjourn the meeting,
So moved.
moved by Mike, a second from,
Second.
Somebody on the
all
wall.
in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, we're out.
Great.
Hi,
Thank you
everybody.
all.
It's a standard system.